This is a tutorial about how to make tape. If you haven't got any herringbone tape for the drawstring bags or for the scrubs, then this is a way of making tape. I just tried a little bit with some white fabric. I did go a bit wibbly in places, but it's turned it into 4 sides of fabric here. So that is just some cotton, white cotton material that I had lying around that I just tried it out with. So what I've done is I've straightened up the edges. You can see I've got nice straight edges along the top and the bottom. So to make it easier to cut, I'm going to fold it in half and make sure I've got the edges straight. Turning it over here because I want to cut from this edge. And I'm making sure the edges are nice and straight. I've got my ruler, she said, leaning across, and I want to cut 1 3/4 inches of material. So I'm going to measure up the 1 3/4. So these are very handily marked 1/4 inches on your rulers, which is marvellous. And I'm going to cut several lines of this and show you what we do. So I'm going to go... I think the cutter's getting a bit blunt. I'm going to do another couple, 1 3/4. So that's 1 3/4. The old adage of measure twice, cut once. The number of times I've measured only once and had to cut twice. So I'll do a third one and you can see what I'm going to do. Okay. So again, turning that off so I don't cut my fingers. So I've now got 3 strips of fabric that are the width of the fabric. So they're approximately 40 inches long. That is not long enough for a scrubs bag. So what you need to do is join them. Before we do that, before we go over to the sewing machine, I'm just going to show you a little trick that is just a 3-inch piece of paper. Now somebody showed this to me a few months back, and I think it is on YouTube somewhere as a tutorial, but this is a 3-inch square piece of paper. I've just folded over about 1/4 inch and given it a good line there, and then it's kind of just over 1/2 inch for the other folds. So giving it a good fold, good crease, and what you do, it's like magic, I promise. It's quite insane. So this may be a bit big for the actual piece, but we'll give it a try, see what happens. This is in case you don't have one of those delightful bias binding tools. So what happens is it creases it over into what would be a bias binding shape. And then what you can do is sew down the edge. So it will pass through, believe it or not, it will pass through quite easily when you start sewing. You don't have to hold it tight, but it will actually pass through really easily. But first of all, I'm going to show you how to join the pieces of fabric so that they don't lose strength. Because if you just join them on, then there's no strength because you're on the same bit of fabric going across. We'll do a bias cut on it and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so if you want to join strips of fabric and make it a really good join, you open up your lengths of fabric. This is how I do it for my patchwork and quilting binding. And what you have to do is put them together like that. So face up, and that then at a diagonal, you're going to go face down with the next strip. You're never going to match it. Well, if you do, you're a better man than I am, and I haven't got time to work out how to actually match it. If you're feeling confident, just go straight for it, but you're going to sew from there across to here. I'll stick a pin in just to make absolutely sure it doesn't move. But normally I would literally just do that and then take it to the machine. You can, again, if you don't feel confident, use a fabric pen or a pencil and just draw a line across so you know where you're going. I'm just going to eyeball it and hope for the best. My policy. Just hearing it. I'm aiming for there, so I don't want to get my pin stuck. And I'm going across to here. I'm not doing it too fast because I want it relatively accurate. But it doesn't matter too much if it's not. It'll all come out. Oh. And what happens is, that almost matched. Not quite, but almost. So you then cut this bit off. And I'll just trim that bit. And trim that little bit. And I've now got a bit of fabric that is twice the length. So there's the join. I will turn it over and just finger press that over. It's cotton, so it will finger press, where if it was polyester you'd have to take a hot iron to it. But I can finger press that open because it's cotton. So it gives less bulk on the join. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So hopefully that will go through my improvised bias binding thing. Okay, so here is going to be how we make the bias binding, or make the tape from what is effectively bias binding. We're going to fold that over, fold that over, fold it over again, fold it over again, and voila. Right, so I'm going to sew this. I'm going to put just get that there. I want to sew as close to that outside edge as I can. I'm just going to hold on to that to make sure it doesn't knot up at the back. I suppose I should have used maybe a brown cotton, but a bit of fluff caught up in that. Let me just get this straightened. So I'm holding it relatively, well, it's quite loosely, but it's tighter at the front there than anywhere else. Everywhere else is loose. And it's just feeding through. If you just take a look at the back here, I'm just holding this at the back, just with my finger, my index finger in between the two, and my middle finger and thumb around it, so it's feeding in to that back end of the piece of paper. Oops, I've gone a bit wobbly. Let me just straighten that. Let me get my sense of rhythm again. I think if you look at this, it's come out quite neatly done. Let's get to the beginning and you can see what the beginning's like. So we've got that fold over inside the fold over. and then it's a bit wibbly. Maybe I need a different foot on there to keep it in line. That might help to stop it getting a bit too wibbly. But once it's inside a scrubs bag, you are never going to know, or inside a scrubs outfit. There is the join. You can see the join here. So what I mean about it being stronger is that it's across the weft of the fabric and the weave of the fabric, so it makes it stronger. That if you had it going straight across, it would be a weaker area, so the more it gets tugged, the weaker it gets, where this is stronger because it's diagonally across the material.